My name is Laura. I work at Cavell. For those of you that don't know, Cavell are a charity that support the nursing and midwifery community who are going through tough times. And it's because of your trusts or organisations' membership to Cavell's Working With scheme that you are able to join us today for this wonderful webinar that we've got hosted by Mikayla, all about building confidence and finding your joy. So I'm going to pass it over to Mikayla so she can introduce herself and get the webinar started.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Laura. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining on this Thursday morning. It's pretty grey where I am, but I hope it's not too bad where you are. So as Laura's mentioned, my name's Mikayla Sinead, and there's a whole host of hats that I wear. But one of the most important hats that I feel is I'm an older sister to a midwife. And so when Cavell got in touch and said, hey, would you be open to running something like this? I was absolutely for it. Just a big thank you and note of appreciation for all the work that you folks do. And continuously, I'm able to see through my sister the pure extent. So it's my absolute honor and privilege to be able to spend some time with you today, talk about confidence, centering your joy and all those bits and pieces. I'm a truly interactive person, so thumbs up in the chat or just some sort of note just to let me know that you're here and you're with me and that you're everything, the pace is good for you. If there's any questions that you have, not only Laura Paul looking at the chat, but I'm able to look at the chat and the Q&A as well. So please do add anything in there that you would if you have any questions or anything. But I'll get started, making sure that you can see my screen. And just a thumbs up. That's coming through. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. All right, cool. So, tools for practice, building confidence and finding joy. This comes from a space of my deep need for this as well in moments. I think that we can quickly put ourselves into boxes. I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm confident, I'm not confident. But I really think that it flows throughout and that you need to tap into that at certain moments in your life. And I believe that it doesn't have to always be on display, but if it's somewhere where you can sort of use as a power source to reach from, that's the most important thing. With your confidence. And I think that people's confidence is very personal. It's one of those things that is spoken about quite regularly, and for some folks not quite understanding how they can tap into it or kind of box themselves as, oh, I'm not a confident person, I'm not. But I believe we can be confident in moments when we need and want to. And this session hopefully is a way of how to some tools that I utilize that will hopefully be useful for you. But also in the confidence of it, it doesn't mean that it has to be a very rigid specific way in how you display. Like I'm all for the joy, I'm all for the fun of things as well, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But essentially over this about an hour that we have together, we'll be talking about in terms of confidence, like your why, your vision, your data, and your peace. So these are in the mix of things of how we can utilize or find that power source of your confidence, but also tap into the all-important joy with it, because it's tough. Life is hard. The world is wild right now, and there's very high pressured and important work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So I always think it's important that we can find the moments of joy wherever we can, because it's a strong sense of resilience to the wildness that can happen. So a little bit more about me. So as I said, Mikayla Sinead, you in the background, I haven't worked on my background in a while actually, but you may be able to see just here for anyone who recognizes, it's an Xbox. In front of me, I have multiple other games. I'm a gamer. I love video games. Video games for me is a way that I'm able to tap into my joy. Is a way that I'm able to tap into nostalgia and just good times of remembering when I was younger with my sister and my cousins. If we weren't playing football outside or wrestling inside, and then when we got told off for nearly breaking something, we were like right? Go and play some games. So Nintendo in particular is a soft spot for me. And I fully believe that video games have an amazing power and ability to support folks in tapping into their well-being and good. There is a bit of there can be a bit of a negative rep around video games, and in my my other many hats that I wear, I run various kind of video game and well-being workshops to support people to tap into their joy in that way. I'm a speaker, former theatre kid, which you might be able to tell with the way the bright colours and la da da. Yeah, I think it's important to utilize platforms to share and engage with folks as best as possible. I'm one of many grandchildren and cousins, and one of the older of the younger cohort of grandchildren, if that makes sense. So if you weren't loud, you weren't being heard, and I was going to be heard. So pretty well versed in speaking. Then throughout education, was always putting myself forward for student representative roles and those kind of aspects. I enjoy listening to people, understanding people, and being able to share stories. With stories are so very important to me. I'm a coach as well, trained in some coaching techniques in terms of like that kind of growth mindset and taking an idea from seed or infancy and supporting folks to kind of make it flourish and grow. My professional development is surrounded leadership development, people development. And so like those coaching techniques and that sort of engaging with folks and sort of a person-centered nurturing method has followed me in all the work that I do. The megaphone is because I'm a campaigner at heart. There's an awful lot of social issues that are important to me and that I'm able and willing and wanting to be able to back and to speak about. And I think it's important that folks are able to use whatever platform they have to share and showcase about social issues and political issues that need more talking about. And as I said, I'm a talker, I'm nosy, I'm curious. So it's like, hey, what's going on here and how can we amplify to support? And then the final image there is the plug. It's a connector. As I said, actually, as I was corrected, I'm curious. I still say nosy. I just want to know what everyone's doing, what's happening. Want to get into the things. And for me, what makes so much sense is making sure that folks who are not connected get connected, right? So I'll pay attention to what people are doing, the work that's going on, sort of projects that they're involved in, as best I can, then connecting them with folks that will either support, add value, be able to be some sort of benefactor. Like that's one of the things that I absolutely love, being able to connect folks. I find joy in that kind of the weave of people, and just there's often a scenario where there's folks with problems, there's folks with solutions, but they need to meet each other. And if you can facilitate that in any which way, I think it's one of the most wonderful things you can do as a person. So yeah, I'm able to get into all sorts of work and connect folks as best I can. So yeah, that's a bit more about me. Yeah, my day job is all around people and culture in a cultural organization. There's some big stuff that we're doing in the organization that I work for, and I get to ensure that the folks are healthy and happy in the way that they do that work, which is very big work. But also outside of that, very similar to sessions like this, and as I spoke about Game Joy, sort of running workshops with gaming, I facilitate confidence workshops, imposter syndrome workshops, all around leadership development and people feeling better about themselves, centered around joy. So that's a bit more about me. So one of the things that is so very crucial to your confidence and your joy is understanding your why, understanding what motivates you. Now, the wonderful thing is that I imagine for so many of you folks with the work that you do, that there's a clear sense of why you do things. And a number of years ago, I was taking part in a leadership development program, and we were shown this video from Simon Sinek. I'm not sure if folks have seen the video, but it there are always those moments in life that just shift your perspective, that just shift your thinking. And this quote in particular, but this video from Simon really shifted my perspective on things. People buy what you do. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So it's not the what, it's the why that's behind the things. And if you're clear on that why, if you're clear on how you want to make an impact, the reason for it, the the way you navigate and the way you move around the world, and the values like deep inside, that then makes everything else make sense, right? I would really love to be able to share with you now this video excerpt. I will say that it is a older video, so the audio isn't wonderful at the beginning, but it does get better when they give them a new microphone, and you'll see that. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to play this video for us. So this is Simon Sinek, Finding Your Why.
The golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, it's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
Okay. So I will make sure to send the link to the full talk, and I believe there's if you go on the TED site, you're able to see that and a number of other talks by Simon. But for me, a really important time in my life in terms of my development and my understanding of self, that was a really important talk. That was a really important moment in considering, like why I do something. It's not the everyday. This is what, but it's that deeper connection, because what we're talking about is this people to people, this soul connection with things. And so when we're talking about your confidence, we're talking about how you want to express. It's about ensuring that folks can connect with that why of yours, which is some deeper kind of work. Not everyone puts in the time to really consider and think about, well, what is it that motivates me? Why is this the thing that motivates me? What is the world that I want to see? What is the world that I want to be a part of to make better? Now, I understand that we can't change the world in everything in its entirety, but there are these small intentional acts that I believe that we can do connected to our why that will make everything better. And it's figuring out what that is. So I guess the pro tip for me is to share, is like to be clear on your why. Now, what I should have mentioned at the beginning of this session is that there'll be prompts from me throughout, and I would invite you all to take note of them. Maybe I'll give some time for solo reflection to consider for those of you who feel confident and willing and wanting. I'd love to see any of your reflections in the chat. As I say, I've got an eye on that. But be clear on your why. Be clear on the change that you want to see, and then how you articulate that. One of the tools that I use is a sort of a breakout template of how you would then share this in a scenario. Now, I understand there are folks here that may want to tap into their confidence for all different types of reasons, whether it's a promotion with work, whether there's a side hustle potentially that you're working on, whether it's engaging with new people, building in your network, whatever it may be. But it's that connectivity with why. For me, one of the things is fairness. And the idea of, from a very, very young age, the idea of, depending on where you were born, or the postcode that you had, or the country that you happen to be on, massively affects your life chances. That's just, I just struggle with that deeply. And so for me, in why I do things, it's about like, okay, well, how are we making sure that things are fair? How are we making sure that we're taking into consideration the whole person, or the history of the person, before they stand here today, or sit here today, or are in front of us in this moment. And that fairness is very clear and very connected to my why, and also why I'm so nosy. Right? It's the stories that I want to hear. It's the essence of things. So here's the thing. a template potentially of how then you're able to showcase your why to folks, to be able to share in, or how you go about what I do. It could be a template that they use. I would please encourage you to write this down and fill this out in your own time where you feel you'd like to. So I and your name, use my skills in XYZ and my passion for XYZ to do this. Now, again, when you're able to get into this sort of mantra way of communicating and thinking, and that clarity helps folks so much. There's so much information that we're receiving on a daily basis, goodness, an hourly basis. And so when you're able to be clear and concise with, hey, this is what I do, this is what I bring, and here are elements that, in terms of my passion points, and this is why it connects with you. There's a clarity and way in that human to human communication that is so important in that moment. Another template that may be useful when showcasing yourself to be able to solve an issue, right? And folks, they want to understand that hey, you understand them, you understand their issues, you understand their sort of concerns, and how you are the right person, you are the right team, you are the right folks in place to deal with this. So your problem is this. This is a problem now, like the urgency of at this moment, why this is a problem, because of this. Here's the solution. And this is the reason why I'm the best to deliver that. All of a sudden, I'm so reassured. You're telling me what my problem is. You're telling me, you're letting me know, like, you understand, you're with me in that moment in why this is an issue. You're with me in this moment of like what the urgency behind it, and you're understanding that empathetic like flow to it is fantastic. Then you're able to give me a clear-cut solution, whether I had a solution or not. Here's the solution that you come about for it, which like, okay, great. So this is an option. And then there's that added layer of, then you're telling me why you're the person to do that. Well, then, yeah, sure, I trust you. I believe you. And when you're able to have that clarity with folks, and you're able to be that sure, again, that linking into your why, linking into your care and your empathetic delivery of that, there's going to be a lot more trust in you. And I think that confidence is so much around that trust piece. And when you're able to take the time to deep dive into these, you'll be able to develop trust in yourself in your answers. And I think this is another place of where kind of confidence builds from. If there are any thoughts or reflections with that, I've got one eye on the chat as well. So please do add. But yes, pro tip: be clear on your why. Okay, I'm going to move us on to the next bit, the yellow brick road. A piece of professional development that happened not too long ago was some coaching training that I went through, and this idea of embodied learning. Again, just another one of those moments that was like, this is a shift. This is something different. And the visualization really, really helps. It really, really works for folks that potentially are more of those visual learners. It's more about that embodied, like to feel in that sense. So the idea of, well, here I am today at this point, and it feels so far away to be at this confident level, or it feels so far away to be at this point, or at this position, or with this kind of comfortability or control, where it may be. And so this is where that visualization piece really works. So it's not a case of you're standing or you're in the position that you're in right now looking forward. It's that visualization of, oh, here I am at the point that I want to be, and I'm looking back on myself today. And so that piece where you're kind of thinking about a particular moment that you feel, hey, you know what, when this happens, I will be I will be sure, or I will be at my max confidence level, or when I do this, I know that I've made it, right? So what if we were to flip the script, and rather than like, well, these are the steps to take to get there, like, oh, I'm here right now. What were the steps backwards to get to this point? Now, there was a wonderful trainer, Elizabeth, who went through this activity with us, and yeah, it's something that I'd love to share. So again, Yellow Brick Road, kind of you're able to discover whatever kind of time frame it is for you, whether it's a year in the future, 5 years, 10 years, a few months ahead, but you're in that position. You're considering what are you seeing every day? What are you experiencing every day? What can you smell? What does your day-to-day look like? What does it feel like embodied in your body, in how that is? Imagination is massively needed, but that piece of like, well, here I am, and feeling in that. It's important to be able to do this activity when you have plenty of time, plenty of space. Potentially you're able to have some writing materials to be able to write down the steps that it took, or whatever it may be. But that idea of, here I am in the moment where I want to be, and working backwards from there. So that activity is something that we've worked through with folks, and there's limited amounts that we can do when we're on a Teams call, or whatever it may be. But this idea of we're working on the steps in chunks of time, whether that be months, weeks, this year at this point, and taking the steps backwards of how you get there, of how you are right now. And so what that then brings you to is almost like a shopping list of, well, this is the thing to do. If I want to be in the Caribbean, on a boat, having a wonderful time, what are the sort of things that I need to do to get to that point? Okay, well, I need to be able to understand the cost of that. I need to be able to sustain that. So then I need to be able to ensure that I'm earning enough, which means that I need to make sure that I'm saving enough, which means that I need to make sure that I have a budget, and those kind of steps backwards from that point is so very useful. And so the thing that I would the prompt that I would bring to us today is, so what will you do today, or this week, this month, or this year, for that your future self will be grateful for? There are so many moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, Mikayla from the past, thank you so much for doing that, because this has made something so much easier. Often when I make lunch the day before, when there's leftovers, whatever, it's like, oh yes, I don't have to think about it. It's just that intentional preparation is on this small scale of lunch, but then it rolls, right? So I'd love for you all to think about, what are those actions, and they can be specific to a particular confidence issue. They can be particular to a specific joy piece. They can be specific to anything that you want for your future self. But what action can you do today? And this intentional action is so important, because we often say, oh, it will happen, or we'll do it for tomorrow. I'll get there when I get there. And as healthcare professionals, there's how many millions of things that will happen in a day that will delay you. But this is your opportunity, and this is the chance to prioritize you. And I can only encourage and implore you to do that prioritizing for the good of you and for the good of those around you. Because when you're at your absolute best, when you're feeling your absolute best, when you're as you as possible, and not pulled into any directions, not stretched too thin, not when the conditions aren't right for you to show up in the way that you want to show up, it affects things. It affects you. It affects everything around you, the way that you work, the way that you engage with your family, your friends, and all of those aspects. So what is the intentional act that you can do today, this week, this month, this year, the rest of this year, that prioritizes you in that? In prioritizing you, you're prioritizing your peace, you're prioritizing your joy, and that will radiate through. I think that folks often have a nervousness about, oh, well, it's being selfish, and it's not because it's considerate. A good friend of mine flipped the script on that. He said, it's not being selfish, it's being selfful. When we are at our very best, we give our very best, and surely that's better than half-baked kind of showing up. And again, when you're able to live in that and model that, you're encouraging others to take a leaf from your book and encouraging them to do the same. And so therefore that confidence spreads and it grows. So I'd encourage you, take that moment, take the time to consider what your future self will be so very thankful for today. And maybe I needed to hear that too. Maybe the gym will see me later on today. Maybe. Okay, folks, we'll move on to the next bit. So, feedback is data. Pro tip. There are so many stories that we can tell ourselves. There are so many instances where it's like, oh, it's the story that we tell and we stick to it. I'm not good at this. I'm not a confident person. I'm not loud enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not in this unfortunate loop that we can get into in terms of self-deprecation, lack of self-belief, all of the aspects that lack of feeling of worthiness. These are all things that are chipping away at your confidence, chipping away at your joy, and chipping away at your peace. If they are purely made up from the stories that we tell, but how we're able to then solidify, like what is the truth here? Being very curious about that process is the data, and that's data from folks around us. That's data from people we work with. That's data from people we live with. That's data from our friends, from our colleagues, from patients, from clients, from all of these folks around. And genuinely ask, like, hey, how did I do there? Or what's your impression of me? Now that's a scary prospect, because all of a sudden you've then opened yourself up very, very vulnerably. Like, here I am, here's my heart. What do you think? That's definitely a tough spot to be in, but it's so very useful to understand the data around you, and it's so very useful to understand what the stories our folks will say. I often say to my very best friend in this world that I wish that I could see myself through the eyes that she sees me. She is, if hype woman was embodied or in the dictionary of what is a hype woman, there'd be a picture of this woman. She is my absolute biggest cheerleader, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And on those days, excuse me, on those days where I'm not too sure about how I'm doing, the direction I'm going in, or if it's worth it, I'm able to reach out to her, or I'm able to think, what would she say in this moment? And okay, I'm back on track to it. So I would encourage you to think about, who are those trusted people? Now, this is not just the people who are just going to tell you what you want to hear, but the folks that you value their opinion, the folks that you value and you respect what they think, what they say, how they conduct themselves, and how you can embody that as best as possible. So this kind of conversation of maybe it's someone who's in a position at work that you're aspiring to, a potential mentor. Not every mentor has to be like an official official, oh, let's set this out. There are many mentors that I have that are on LinkedIn, on the television, on when I'm reading through, that I'm just listening and consuming their content, and I'm allowing it to shape the way that I navigate and I move through, right? Who's that for you? Who is that trusted source that you can lean on and kind of tap into as a data point for you? And taking that step further of like, hey, I would love some feedback on how this interaction was, or how I work, how